cold silence of space was broken by the steady hum of the scout cruiser Vareth. Its dark hull glimmered faintly as the ship slipped past distant stars, crossing the invisible border of human-controlled territory. Captain Ralvek stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the glowing map that marked the boundaries of known space. His voice was calm, but inside a storm brewed. Every warning etched into the memory banks of his people screamed at him to turn back, but he did not. He had heard the stories Tailies passed down through generations. Stories about the humans, about a space so dangerous, so heavily guarded, that no one who crossed it ever returned. They warned us, the old legends said. Do not enter. Never cross into human space. But warnings, to Captain Ralvek, were meant to be tested. He was a man who chased truth beyond fear. The ship's sensors scanned ahead. Nothing unusual. No sign of enemy fleets. No signal jamming. Silence of the void was heavy, but unbroken. His crew worked with quiet efficiency, nerves taut but disciplined. The Varoth moved deeper into the forbidden zone, its engines humming with careful power, its shields raised in case of an ambush. Suddenly, the ship's instruments flickered. Screens glitched. The crew froze. The warning alarms, faint at first, began to grow louder. A strange pulse was detected, a wave of energy that danced just beyond their sensors. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered, something cold, mechanical, yet filled with an eerie intelligence. Captain Ralvek leaned forward. His hand hovered over the console. "Port," he commanded. "We're detecting an energy signature." "Ahead," the science officer replied. "It's difficult to describe. Not natural. Not something we have data on." The pulse grew stronger. Lights flickered, then went dark. The bridge was bathed in emergency red. The crew scrambled to reboot systems, but the ship shuddered as if caught in a giant hand. Communications crackled. Static filled the air. Then, through the interference, a voice whispered, low and rough, a language none could understand. The words cut through the static with clear meaning. "You were warned." Captain Ralvek's heart pounded, stared at the comm panel, hoping for more, but the voice was gone. Ship systems went completely dark. No power, no life support. No navigation. Panic rippled through the crew. The Vareth had vanished. Back. In the Galactic Council chambers, far from the lost scout cruiser, the news spread like wildfire. The loss of the Vareth was not just a tragedy, it was a warning. The mysterious human border was real and deadly. Leaders from the greatest empires gathered in an urgent session. Voices rose in anger, fear, and disbelief. Some refused to believe the humans still existed. Others whispered of ancient wars, forgotten treaties, and powers best left alone. The council decided to send another probes, faster, unmanned, to gather information, to understand what had destroyed the Vareth. But when the probe crossed the border, silence followed. No data, no response. Only the shattered remains. Melted by an unseen force, the galaxy was left with a chilling message. The humans had not forgotten. They had not forgiven. And as every empire stared at the empty space where the Vareth once was, when truth became clear, the warnings had not been idle stories. They had been a promise. And the galaxy had just broken it. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was vast and cold, a place where power was weighed against fear and diplomacy danced with danger. Species from every corner of the galaxy had gathered, tall ones with silver skin, winged creatures with eyes like stars, and hulking brutes who communicated with deep, growling hums. The air was thick with tension, every whisper carrying the weight of history. At the center sat the council's speaker, stern figure known as Elder Vortok, whose species had long ruled the balance of peace and war. His voice cut through the murmur as he raised a clawed hand. "Friends, allies and rivals," he said, "we face a threat unlike any before. The disappearance of the Varoth is not an accident. The warnings about human space were true." Gasps echoed. Some turned sharply toward each other, voices rising. The humans thought extinct or myths were real. And dangerous? Are we sure this is not a trick? Asked Chancellor Rallin of the Zyrith Dominion. Her blue eyes scanned the room, sharp and cold. The humans were said to have been destroyed centuries ago. But what if? Growled General. Brack from the Kron fleet. They've been waiting, growing in secret, preparing to strike. The room erupted. The oldest, most cautious leaders reminded all that humanity was a mystery wrapped in shadows. Their technology was said to be unlike anything known, their biology unpredictable, their intentions unknowable. Do we know anything for certain? Asked Diplomat Scylla, a silver-winged envoy from the Valari Assembly. Or are we simply reacting to fear? In the corner, a tall, robed figure shuffled forward. It was Kelthor, the ancient historian of the Onari species, known for remembering wars forgotten by all others. His eyes glinted beneath his hood. The humans are not dead, he said slowly, voice low but steady. They vanished, yes, but they left behind warnings. This border was marked with blood and fire and the past an unspoken line none dared cross. Kelthor unfurled a scroll, its surface glowing faintly. A map appeared, ancient and chilling. Red zones marked the boundaries of human territory. Symbols in a language lost to all but a few glyphs that spoke of war and wrath. None. Who entered here have returned, Kelthar whispered. The humans promised punishment. Now they are delivering it. Across the room, skepticism met dread. Some council members wanted to send fleets to destroy the humans once and for all. Others argued for caution, fearing the spark of war might consume the entire galaxy. As debates raged, a message blinked on the main holoscreen, a transmission from deep space. It was distorted, broken by static, but a single word echoed clearly through the chamber. Remember. Silence fell. A young aide whispered, "The humans want us to remember what they are." The council adjourned, but the fear did not fade. Outside, ships began to patrol the borders more heavily. Messages warning ships not to cross were broadcast. The galaxy held its breath, and somewhere far beyond the last outposts, the humans watched, patient, silent, waiting. The Sereth Vane was a small patrol ship, sleek and fast, built for scouting and quick strikes. Captain Laron Keth had just taken command, eager to prove himself to the fleet. When the orders came, patrol the edges of human space, report anything. Suspicious, he saw it as an opportunity, a chance to show courage where others hesitated. The crew of 15 was young, disciplined, and anxious. The warnings were fresh in everyone's mind. The Vareth had vanished without a trace. The council's fears were no longer stories but threats waiting in the dark. Still, Laron was determined. As they crossed into the forbidden zone, the ship's sensors searched for life, energy signatures, anything unusual. The space was cold and empty, but the feeling of being watched was strong. For hours. They drifted among the stars and drifting debris fields. Nothing moved. No ships, no signals. Just silence. Then, on the edge of a black moon, something changed. The sensors picked up a faint energy signature. It was weak, irregular, but definitely artificial. Loran ordered the ship closer, eyes sharp on the monitors. Suddenly, the black moon's surface lit up with eerie, pulsing lights-warning beacons or traps. Before the crew could react, a sudden blast struck the Sereth Vane. The ship shook violently. Shields flared and failed. Panic erupted as alarms screamed. Shields down. "I'll breach in Sector 3, shouted the engineer. The bridge trembled. As automated defense turrets hidden beneath the moon's surface began firing, but these were no ordinary weapons. They didn't just shoot energy bolts or missiles. They launched swarms of nanobots, microscopic machines that ate through metal and circuitry. The crew fought back desperately, but the ship's systems began to fail one by one. Communications went dead. One by one, the crew dropped. Only Captain Loran survived. Blinded by the flashing lights and smoke, he escaped in a small life pod launched at the last moment. When he awoke, days later, adrift in a life pod far from any known route, his mind was shattered. whispered nonsense, repeating the words. The blood remembers. The warning is real. Never cross. The council received the survivors' message with horror. The humans' defense was not just militariat. It was something else, something deeper, more terrifying. And the patrol ship's attack was only the beginning. Across the vast reaches of the galaxy, from the glittering core worlds to the dusty frontier, outposts, every communication channel, public and private, was suddenly seized by a strange and ancient broadcast. At first, it appeared as static, flickering on countless holoscreens, panels, and personal devices. Then the noise cleared, revealing the unexpected sight of a human figure, garbed in a weathered but proud uniform, standing in a room full of strange machines and faded banners. The figure spoke with a calm, unyielding voice, though the broadcast was clearly centuries old. His face was worn, his eyes fierce. The language was ancient human, but universal translators worked perfectly. His words spread like wildfire. If you see this message, it means you have crossed the line. The border. We set. The warning we gave was not idle. We do not forgive. We do not forget. You brought this upon yourselves. The galaxy froze. No one could turn off the message. It repeated endlessly across all frequencies. A warning from a past long buried, yet alive again. For hours, governments scrambled to decode, analyze, and respond. The message's origin was traced back to a hidden relay near Earth, but no ship or person answered the summons. The broadcast was clearly automated, a relic designed to be activated if the border was crossed. Panic spread among the colonies and fleets. Empires locked their borders tighter. Markets crashed. Ships abandoned missions. Soldiers whispered that the humans might have been waiting in the dark all along, waiting to punish the galaxy's arrogance. In secret, spies and diplomats reached out for clues, hoping to understand if this was merely a bluff, a message of fear meant to delay conflict, the first sign of something far worse. Amid the chaos, a mysterious group surfaced, calling themselves the Keepers of the Warning. They claimed to be descendants of those who once tried to make peace with humanity. They warned everyone that the broadcast was only the beginning. The deeper forces were stirring in human space. Their words only deepened the fear. The galaxy was forced to accept one brutal truth. The humans were not gone. They were watching, and they were ready. Far beyond the busy trade routes and crowded star systems, past the edge of the maps and ancient navigation charts, lay the system called Vihalderlong, thought dead, forgotten by most, and cloaked in silence. A place of broken planets and shattered moons, its cold orbits held little to no life, and even fewer visitors dared venture there. But beneath its shattered surface, buried deep beneath the swirling clouds of cosmic dust and rust-colored rock, something stirred. The mining crew of the Astral Seeker had no idea what awaited them when they drilled deep into the asteroid fields of Vihalder's third moon. Their orders were simple: extract valuable minerals and return. But what they uncovered was beyond any mineral or metal. As the drills cut through the ancient rock, they exposed massive structured giant ships, black and gleaming, their hulls scarred but intact. These were no ordinary vessels. They were human war machines, ancient Titan-class ships built to inspire fear and awe, long hidden, forgotten by time but not by design. Sensors on the Astral Seeker blinked with confusion and alarm. The black ships lay dormant, silent, yet ominous. Then, as the crew gathered to investigate, a low pulse hummed through the system. The massive vessels awakened. Lights flickered across their hulls. Systems hummed to life. Cockpit windows lit. With cold blue glows, these ships were no longer mere relics. They were ready. The Astral Seeker crew barely escaped the awakening fleet as it began to spread out, moving silently but with clear purpose. Their AI systems engaged ancient war protocols, defense and offense coded into their very cores, back in the Galactic Council. The news of the sleeper fleet's awakening sent shockwaves. The once dormant threat had reemerged not as a myth, but as a terrifying reality. Worse, these ships did not attack immediately. Instead, they began to observe, circling and scanning. Silent sentinels waiting for orders or an unknown trigger. Then, when a small rebel fleet tried to strike first, one of the Titan ships responded with deadly precision. Entire squadrons were wiped out in seconds, remains left floating in cold space. The words Earth Strike Protocol active appeared briefly on intercepted transmissions, chilling every fleet commander who saw it. The galaxy was now faced with an enemy unlike any. Before an enemy with patience, power, and purpose, humanity's war machines had returned, and this time, no one was safe. The news of the Sleeper Fleet's awakening sent shockwaves through the highest halls of power. The great empires, once rivals and enemies, put aside their ancient grudges and grudgingly agreed on one truth. The human threat was real, and it was growing. For the first time in centuries, a united fleet began to form ships from the Zyrith Dominion. The Kron Empire, the Valari Assembly, and countless others rallied to a single purpose: to stop the humans before they could rewrite the galaxies. Fate, Admiral Jorvan, a veteran of countless wars, was chosen to lead this coalition. His battle-hardened face bore the marks of losses past, but his eyes burned with determination. He knew this was not just another conflict, it was a fight for survival. As the combined fleets gathered at the edge of human space, tension was thick. Fleets larger than any had ever seen since the old galactic wars formed a wall of steel and firepower. Yet even as weapons were primed and soldiers prepared, an uneasy feeling spread. Something was wrong when the fleets crossed into the Forbidden Zone. Strange things began to happen. Communication channels flickered and went dead. Navigation systems faltered, as if the stars themselves shifted and distorted around them. Ships lost their way, drifting into the cold void with no response to commands. Even the most advanced warships found their shields flickering and failing. Energy weapons misfired or exploded prematurely. The human defense systems were more than just machines. They were traps set for those foolish enough to enter. One by one, ships were disabled, picked apart by invisible attackers. Human drones, small and silent, swarmed like insects, dismantling hulls, tearing circuits, and disabling engines with ruthless efficiency. Entire squadrons were shattered before they could mount a defense. Admiral Jorvan watched helplessly as his forces crumbled. The Grand Alliance was breaking apart. In desperation, he ordered a retreat. But even retreat was costly. The enemy was relentless. Only a small fraction of the massive fleet returned. Survivors spoke of horrors beyond imagination, ships turning against their own crews, systems failing without cause, and the haunting red glow of human war machines. In the darkness back at the council, shame and fear filled the chambers. The dream of unity had been shattered by an enemy they barely understood. The galaxy was learning a brutal lesson. To fight the humans was to fight an enemy that never truly died. The galaxy was still reeling from the devastating defeat of the United Fleets when a calm, clear voice suddenly cut through the chaos, echoing across every communication channel. Unlike the distorted warnings and cryptic signals before, the message was alive, direct, and unmistakably human. It began quietly, almost softly. A voice spoke in measured tones, carrying the weight of centuries and the sharpness of iron. "We did not want war," the voice said. "But you crossed the line, across." The countless worlds and space stations, millions stopped what they were doing to listen. The transmission showed a view of a distant human outpost. Glowing against the blackness of space, a shining beacon, alive with energy and purpose. Massive reactors pulsed like small suns, casting bright reflections off the hulls of sleek Titan-class warships docked in orbit. The message continued. "Your fleets trespassed into our territory. You ignored the warnings. Now, you will face the consequences." Attempts to respond were met with silence. Humans did not engage in diplomacy. They did not negotiate. Instead, they prepared, and the galaxy watched in growing fear as the outpost's reactors flared brighter. Strange streams of data began pouring out from the station, encoded signals no one could decipher. Scientists, hackers, and analysts worked feverishly to crack the code. But it seemed designed to resist every effort. In the face of this overwhelming mystery, panic spread. Some species surrendered immediately, hoping to avoid destruction. scrambled to form new alliances, seeking any advantage to counter the human threat. But the humans remained silent. Their ships moved steadily outward from the outpost, no longer hiding, no longer waiting. The galaxy realized, too late, that the humans had been preparing for this moment for centuries. They had watched, waited, and built their strength quietly, hidden in the shadows, and now the balance of power was about to change forever. For centuries, the galaxy had spoken in whispers about the return of humanity's deadliest war machines. Legendary, Titan-class ships, faster and more powerful than anything known. Now, the rumors became reality. Out of the blackness of deep space, massive human warships emerged, their dark hulls glinting coldly beneath distant suns. They moved with purpose and speed, like predators that had finally found their prey. The empires watched in terror as these colossal ships bypassed defensive fleets and planetary shields. They did not bombard cities or fire into atmospheres. Instead, their weapons targeted stars themselves, devices that could snuff out suns, sever energy flows, and turn thriving star systems into cold voids. Entire civilizations vanished in moments. Systems fell silent, their lights extinguished. One by one, the galaxy's mighty fleets were powerless to stop them. The human war machines were more than ships. They were warnings carved into metal and fire, reminders of a wrath long forgotten. Their AI operated with deadly precision, coordinating strikes that left no room for mercy or error. Faced with unstoppable destruction, the empires had no choice but to surrender. The galaxy's old order crumbled, rewritten by the harsh hand of humanity's return. In the aftermath, a single message echoed across the stars. The galaxy was warned. You crossed the line. Now remember why you never should have. And with those words, the humans vanished back into the shadows, leaving a universe forever changed and a warning that would never be forgotten.